up, everybody?
Hey, hey.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Cinema Royale. We are the Punch Drunk Critics. I'm John. Guy
Uh,
over there, handsome fellow to my left, is Travis.
Hey,
And this is the
hey.
first time I remember to introduce us, and you didn't have to do it.
Yeah, I know.
I'm very proud. I'm very proud of today.
It's a step in the right direction. Good job.
Indeed. Um, Feels weird to say already, but we're getting ready to talk about the penultimate episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Can we just all agree 6 episodes is too few?
The thing is, I don't know how many would be enough. That's the problem. If it were eight,
Yeah,
I'd still want there to be more. That's how much I like it. I like this better than WandaVision, and I loved WandaVision.
yeah.
I
I
loved
mean,
WandaVision. But
I
this
think
is
a lot
more.
of people are surprisingly saying that. A lot of people are liking this better than WandaVision, and they're saying it with the air of disbelief. Like I never would have thought that they would have liked this better. But I
WandaVision
don't know.
was different. I mean, WandaVision was playing on multiple levels, but so is this.
Hmm.
I think the reason why, well, I know the reason why I like it is because the whole espionage thing, the whole
Right.
thriller aspects of it is more in my wheelhouse, along with characters that I'm more closely attuned with than I am Vision and Scarlet Witch.
Hmm.
Plus, I like the way this show is dealing with race in the realm of superheroes, which is something that Marvel hasn't really done. So it's operating on multiple levels, just like WandaVision is, but in something that's more in my arena. So I'm really digging it.
Yeah, I mean it really is hitting on. I'm a mark for this from the beginning. I think I've said pretty much every week on this show that the Marvel espionage stuff is my go-to. That's my favorite of all. The thing that makes me most sad about this series and MCU as it is right now is that we'll never see Black Widow, Winter Soldier together. I mean, they were a big thing in the comics. Whenever they were teamed up in the books, it was awesome, and we won't see that
Yeah.
obviously, but um, it
Well,
just seems to be
you'll
hitting
get to see the other Black Widow team up
fair
with them
enough.
at some point. You
But
just
that whole
probably
thing was about their history, so they wouldn't have that. I mean, they hinted at it when in the Winter Soldier, which is like, oh, he shot me, he shot the target through me or whatever. But I know it hits on so many different levels. I mean, it's doing all the things you said, but it's also not lacking in the action, not lacking in the choreography, in the ancillary character development is in there too. I mean, everything seems to be hitting exactly right, and I don't think there's anything else I could ask more. But if I had some more episodes, I would have preferred to see more of Isaiah Bradley's story. I would have preferred to see more flashbacks of Bucky dealing with his Winter Soldier, um, you know, trauma because I just think he's really cool as Winter Soldier, and I want to see more of that. Um, and then more of what's his Falcon's partner's name in the beginning? Torres. Torres,
Taurus.
who in the comics, for those who don't know out there, becomes Falcon at one point, but a little bit of a different one. He gets like a DNA hybrid, so he's actually half bird. I don't think they'll do that, but
This episode kind of hints towards that anyway. Um,
yeah, the
Torres,
handing off the wings at least. Yeah.
Torres does get the Falcon wings, which also means like, well, if Sam Wilson is basically giving up Falcon, is he resigning himself to becoming Captain America? Then is that what he's doing?
Hmm.
It seems like that's what this episode was kind of
Yeah.
taking the steps forward for him. And I guess he kind of realized, even though he had that conversation with Isaiah Bradley in this episode, where Bradley's basically telling him no self-respecting black man would ever be Captain America, and
Hmm.
nor would he ever want to be. And I found myself agreeing with Isaiah Bradley for the
Hmm.
most part. Like, he's right. I wouldn't do that shit. I don't know anybody who would. It seemed like Mackie is going to take over the mantle of Captain America. That's what it looks like,
Right.
right? And following the events of the previous episode, what John Walker did, um, he's kind of the guy who has to. He's kind of the guy who has to do it. His giving up the shield led to this.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's
I'm trying to figure out where I insert my white guy questions segment because there's a lot. There's a lot. But I guess the first place. So that's the basis of this episode. It's back at Sam's hometown. The whole thing is centered around them fixing that family boat. It shows some great friendship building between Sam and Bucky. They're finally on the same page. Um, really funny moments with Bucky flirting with Sam's sister and all that good stuff. But um, regarding what you're talking about, so obviously, this might come as a surprise to you, Travis, but I can't imagine a black man's perspective, if you can believe that. So, but with the Isaiah Bradley thing, so I totally get what he's saying. I totally get where that comes from.
Mhm.
But I always thought one of the most inspirational things about the African American community in this country is that regardless of all the shit they went through, they were still there pushing the virtues of what this country should be. Guys like the Tuskegee Airmen, who were going out there and doing it bigger, badder, and better than the rest of the fighter pilots, knowing that they're gonna get shit on when they get home, and stuff like that. So to me, it's like I get Isaiah Bradley. He was put in jail for 30 years for just doing what they told him to do, and essentially doing the exact same thing that Cap does. So he tells a story that he went and saved some of his fellow soldiers, and he wasn't supposed to, and that's what he was jailed for, which is exactly, if you remember, what Cap did in the first Avenger. So it shows the dichotomy there. But you know, do you let the and if any of this is offensive, I do not intend for it to be.
No, no, no.
Bitterness is what I'm going to call it.
But
What?
this is this is the dynamic here, right? Like Isaiah Bradley sees it one way, and
Mm.
probably Sam Wilson sees it the other. In terms of what, and Isaiah Bradley has experienced it firsthand, so he has his perspective. He probably started out as someone who was on the side you're talking about right there,
Mm-hmm.
in there, as someone who, no matter what problems the country has, he's going to do his best to live up to the ideals he thinks this country should uphold.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but 30 years of what he went through is going to change just about anybody.
Oh hell yeah, yeah. You wouldn't expect him to be any other way.
Sam has not had to go through that. He's experienced it in small doses, very small
Mm-hmm.
doses. That doesn't mean he doesn't understand racism in the country, but he is probably still at that point where, and he's had the privilege of, kind of hanging out with Captain America too, Steve Rogers, and seeing ideals he believes in and stuff like that. So, so it looks like he's on the opposite side of that,
Mm-hmm.
and I think both are perfectly justifiable positions to be in.
Mm-hmm.
So it is not that far off from the T'Challa, um, Killmonger dynamic.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not that far off. But this one is a little bit more, of course, United States based more than anything else.
Oh
But
yeah.
but yeah, it looks like Sam's going to take over as Captain America at some point, which is interesting. Um, a lot of stuff happened.
Explain. That was a loaded interesting. I know you're interesting
No,
by
it's
now.
interesting. It's interesting to see how that moves forward.
Okay. All right.
Like, there's only one episode of this show left. Okay, so let's say he the final frame of the final episode is him in the suit. Like, let's assume what's in the case given to him by the Wakandans is a suit or a new shield.
Oh, it's a new Falcon suit in red,
Right.
white, and blue. It's got to be.
Something along these lines, right? Let's make that assumption. Watch it not be that. Watch it be like a pair of goggles or something. But
I went to Wakanda and all I got was this T-shirt.
let's just right. It's like, here, we gave you a mechanical arm too that we can deactivate anytime we want.
It's fine. Poor man.
Honestly,
the look on Bucky's face is still in my mind.
he
He's so
should
betrayed.
be wary of taking anything the Wakandans give him, because if he ever gets into a fight with them, they'll probably just turn it off.
Yeah, they got remote control falling out of the sky.
Even if they did give him a whole Captain America suit, he should be like, should I even wear this? Because I've seen you guys.
You got back doors and this stuff.
Right. So, but no, there's only one more episode left. So, say the final frame of the final episode is him wearing the suit, wearing the new Captain America suit, becoming Captain America. Does he then jump into a new Captain America solo franchise because the other one is over? Does that, I mean, on the big screen, is that what happens? I don't know.
I mean,
That's what I mean by saying it's interesting. I'm curious to see what they do with him after after he becomes Captain America. And then does he stay Captain America? Because in the comics, he wasn't Captain America that long. Um,
I mean,
so
there's a cool little frisbee throwing scene that kind of foreshadows what they might be planning to do because when they're it's a really really cool moment where Bucky and Sam are sitting outside Bucky's house and they're just casually tossing the shield at trees and bouncing it back to him and like Sam's giving it to the tree and then to Bucky and Bucky back, um, and I was looking at that I'm thinking well this is cool like a visual of the two of them connected by Cap but also both of them able to wield the shield so that's got to be a bit of foreshadowing saying at some point you're going to see it. I mean, they've been teasing Bucky holding the shield since First Avenger.
I
You
mean,
know,
there's every reason to think that they both could end up Captain America at some point. I mean, who knows? We just don't know.
yeah, there's no reason for
I
both
think,
one.
yeah, and I think Bucky actually wants to be Captain America in some way, but
Mm-hmm.
I think he wants to do it because he thinks it will resolve him of everything that he's done in the past. I think that's probably what
Yeah.
if he were to ever become Captain America, that's the angle they would play it.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
but who knows? I'm curious. Like I said, I'm curious to see what happens.
Yeah,
A
now
lot
that
of
you put that out there, that's an interesting point because do they do? Because I one of the things I had noted down to talk about here was, these Marvel shows they've said they're pretty much one-offs. It's a limited series as much as instead of a show. But if any of them could be, a repeated season, it's Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That procedural aspect of it, you could go for seasons and seasons, but that kind of robs Anthony Mackie of his chance to lead a Captain America movie. He's they're bringing up the Young Avengers. Somebody's got to be in the lead. I don't know who else it would be at this point. Um, so yeah, I think you do both. I mean, guy's so goddamn charismatic. You could have him starring in every single movie and you'd make money.
Yep. I mean, Anthony Mackie's so charismatic. You tried to make us review a movie that came out 2 years ago that had Anthony Mackie in it.
I knew we weren't gonna
Yeah.
not talk about this.
And what? I was like, I remember that movie from 2019.
You know what? And the saddest thing was, I thought I was ahead of the game because, like, man, I didn't see this on the list because Netflix had it as new release Friday, like brand new movie, and I didn't realize it meant brand new movie to Netflix. So I watched it last night. I was like, man, we got another movie to watch, and we talk about this, and I was 2 years late. Thank you for keeping that quiet though, and not publicly embarrassing me
That's
about
the
that.
power of Anthony Mackie, man. His charisma lasts 2 years, apparently.
Hey,
No, that was funny. But yeah, but like I said, a lot of stuff happened this episode.
Madam Hydra.
We got that big cameo
Mm-hmm.
that they promised us, and I was very pleasantly surprised to see Julia Louis-Dreyfus show up because now we can officially say she's part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It doesn't even matter the character; she's playing Valentina, whatever whose name her last name I always forget. Um, and she's I hesitate to call her a major character within Marvel. She's
Mm-hmm.
she's a familiar character to some people.
She's on the level like a Maria Hill, would you say?
I guess I would say she's probably like a notch down from like Madame Masqué or something like that, or I don't know. I mean, she's in the espionage field. She was Nick Fury's girl for a while. She's been part of Hydra. She's been part of all these evil groups, and she's
She was legit like a quadruple agent at one point. So
yeah, she's definitely part of some evil group, like probably like the Serpent Society or something. In Marvel now. But what we learned after the episode is that she was initially supposed to appear in Black Widow first, which is interesting, and it makes me wonder if if she's still going to be in Black Widow,
right.
if she still has a role in there. And if that's the case, then it means that Marvel is sprinkling her around the MCU, and that means she's going to have a big role.
Yeah, I think if she shows up in two places, then it's
Yep.
not a one time don't show up thing. But speaking of villains, one thing so everybody's starting to think that Agent Carter is the power broker. The iPhone theory is huge. Have you heard about that?
No, but I can see why people would think that already.
Yeah, well, so apparently Apple has a rule for using their devices in film and television that they can't ever be used by villains, and she uses a droid in Madripoor. But I get all that, and I think people are half right.
Yeah.
So I can tell you right now what the post credit scene is going to be. That's going to be left unresolved, and it's going to cut post credits in Madripoor, Sharon Carter on the phone, revealing herself to be the power broker, hangs up the phone, turns around, is Mystique. Goddamn, I should be a writer. It's Mystique. I mean, she was one of the top Madripoorian people, right?
No.
It's still a good idea, I think. I think they should do it. So go ahead and rewrite that. You got
I mean,
a
if
week.
it will be a fantastic idea if the X-Men were already introduced.
Yeah, but it's not like they have to give them. It's not like everybody won't know who that is.
Everybody would know who it is, and they would know who it is because of her connection to the X-Men.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's not like there's going to be a bunch of people like, who's that? Everybody knows who Mystique is at this point. So you could introduce her that way. All right, whatever. I thought she was big in Madripoor. I was wrong. Let's move on from that.
I mean, you could be wrong, but right in a different way.
All right, I'm listening.
You could have her reveal herself as the power broker and turn around and get shot, and we see the person who shot her, and it's Maria Hill. But then Maria Hill shapeshifts into a Skrull, because the Skrulls, we know, actually are the big threat coming up in the red.
Okay,
or
obviously makes more sense than mine.
Or actually, what would make more sense is that Sharon Carter turns around, gets shot, is killed, and when she dies, she turns into a Skrull. We don't know who shot her. We find that out later. But
I'm not thinking that shit.
She turns to a Skrull, because that's what happens when Skrulls get killed. They lose their form and they turn back to their original form. Right. And that's what happens all the time in the Secret Invasion comic storylines. That's how people get revealed all the time. So, hey, somebody died. And, oh, wait, turned into a Skrull.
Yeah. So, and we definitely have a lot about Secret Invasion to talk about today as well. Before we get to that,
man, they're casting the hell out of that thing.
Yeah, they are. Is there anything else in Falcon? I feel like we're missing something. I mean,
we didn't talk about John Walker at all, really. I mean, this episode, this was the episode where we got the showdown between him and, or at least the first showdown between him and Sam and Bucky, right in the beginning of the episode too, like pre-credits.
Yeah, another amazing opening scene, just like the premiere.
And there was a hell of a fight because he was kicking their ass for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was something fierce.
Yeah. So, what do you think about what ended up for him, the way the episode started, and then the way it ended for him, which I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah, I think the way they wrote this character and the way Wyatt Russell's playing him is so perfect. Because it's very hard to walk that line between well-meaning good person and villain, and he's teetering the line, and he's fallen off obviously at this point, but he plays it so well, and just the little tiny things, like never once did you hear Steve Rogers refer to himself as Captain America, but why John what the hell's his name? Why am I blanking on that?
John Walker.
I'm saying John Wyatt. John Walker. Every time he meets somebody, hey, John Walker, Captain America, and then in their big courtroom scene, he's slamming down his fist, yelling, "I am Captain America," and that kind of shows, I love the mirroring and the story continuity that they take the time to do, where, one of the first things Erskine said to Steve Rogers before the serum was, it takes whatever's in you and amplifies it. So a good man becomes better. So in John Walker, you have a guy who wants to do well, but he's not, he exemplifies what was special about Steve Rogers. That Steve Rogers was special. It wasn't just medicine in a bottle that made him who he was.
Right. But John Walker it's pretty much what we talked about when we first became Captain America. He's constantly having to tell people he's Captain America as if they don't know. Mm-hmm. As if they don't know. It's like the person who always introduces himself to you, like no matter how many times you met. Like that's a self-confidence thing. That's you don't believe that you're worthy of people remembering you. It's like, I remember who the fuck you are, dude. And they always remind you who they are. It's like, I get it, mm-hmm. But that's a self-confidence thing, and he does not feel like he deserves to be Captain America. Deep down, he might put it on the outside that he thinks he does, but inside he doesn't.
Right.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
And he shows it in all these little ways. His attitude, his arrogance, And then when he had that meeting with Lamar's parents and he lied to them, he just basically
I
lied to
was
them.
I was just about to ask you if you thought that that was significant that he did.
Hell yeah, it was significant. And he just straight lied to him. This is his closest friend, the person who supported him the entire time. Even when he screwed up, his friend was there to support him. And he goes and he lies to his family after, when he's going to, give them his condolences for his death. And he goes and he lies to them.
Yeah,
And
he tells him that he killed the guy
it
that
was,
hurt their son.
it was a self-serving lie. I know it would have, I know that he wanted to make them feel better, probably, but it was more of a self-serving thing. He wanted to look like a hero.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to look like the hero that caught the guy who killed him. What would have really made them feel better was for him to go out and actually catch the person who did it. But he didn't do that. He just lied.
Right.
So he's garbage at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna say he's irredeemable at this point because they've done some pretty amazing things like with Loki, but he's supposed to be an anti-hero eventually. The thing I don't get is where he fits into the story going forward. If we only have one episode left here, in my mind, Walker only works in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He's not gonna. He doesn't have enough story to drop him into an Avengers movie or anywhere else. I'm sure they can figure out a way to do it if that's what they're gonna do. But if he's not wrapped up this
Oh man,
next episode,
I totally see it. I totally see how he could work going forward.
okay, I'm listening.
Uh, so just sort of like how they use them in the comics in a way. So yeah, he's a total asshole. It's not that far off from what I told you was going to happen after he killed that terrorist, which is that there are going to be people who are going to support what he did.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to come across as a total villain. He's not perceived as a complete villain at this point by everyone.
Right.
By us, and by of course the heroes of the show. Of course he is, but everybody else, no.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can see a scenario where the Avengers are reformed and the government puts John Walker on their team.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them are bound by the Sokovia Accords anyway. I mean, the
Yeah, and
government,
one thing about him, he towed the company line, which
right.
99% of the other superheroes, even when they do sign on, they're not exactly easy to manage. But he's a company man.
Wow, I'm surprised.
What?
Apparently, Chauvin is guilty.
I mean, he
So,
had to be. I mean, he honestly he had to be because and I get we were talking about this before we went on air, folks, and
yeah,
I get 100% what you're saying. That this has been going on for years and people have been getting off, but with this level of attention in the media, with this level of concerned people, I would have lost the last shred of optimism and hope for humanity if he had not been. I mean, it's so cut and dry and so clear and so
yeah. You can
well good.
understand you can understand my skepticism too.
No, I get it totally. I do. I just it's like the whole reason I ask you about the African American perspective on being Captain America is I look at it and I'm like, well, being always optimistic I am, I would look at it as well. This America stand it doesn't stand. So all that stuff's been washed out. But the idea of America, a place where people can come from anywhere and be free and work together and build a better life for their families and each other, is an idea worth fighting for. But it's been lost for years, and then people forget about it and all that. But the idea of anybody, wanting to take on that mantle to correct things of the past instead of giving up on the country. But
Right.
I'm aware enough to recognize that that's coming from a place of at worst privilege, but at best just simply not understanding.
Right. Yeah. So let's not dwell on Chauvin. We don't want to talk about that. We can
Right.
talk after. We don't need to talk about it in the middle of the show. I just
I
we
do
were
have one other gripe
just after
about.
it was coming in, so that's why it happened. But Walker, going back to John Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, yeah, I can see a total scenario where, and yeah, he got court-martialed and drummed out of the military. But like I said, there are going to be elements within the government who are still going to like him,
Mm-hmm.
and I could see him easily being placed on a team, maybe not necessarily the Avengers, but maybe placed on a different team. I do think the arrival of Valentina, who was one of those people who supports what he did, um, possibly heralds the introduction of the Thunderbolts, or the Dark Avengers.
And Zemo going to the see. I'm all with Thunderbolts because the Wakandans came and got Zemo, and they're taking him to the raft, which is where Thunderbolt Ross is going to recruit his team from, right? So, and I can absolutely see John Walker being a Rick Flag for the Thunderbolts. You know,
I mean, it's not as if he's not a capable leader of people. Mm-hmm. We already know that's in his background.
Right.
He could totally do it. He could totally do that. So and at the end of this episode, we see him crafting his own shield.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
What is going on with the credit scenes in Marvel TV? First of all, they're 15 minutes long. You're tricking us with the runtime. And second of all, consistency. I didn't know there was a post-credit scene until yesterday because there's never a reason. Either have them every episode or don't have them, or put a little warning. Stay after for another special treat.
They never put a warning at the end of the movies. Why would they put a warning?
You know they're going to come. You know they're going to come.
They don't always come, though. It's not every time. It's
every time except for Endgame.
It's a lot
Infinity War.
It's a lot of the time, yeah. It's all the time that they do that. But yeah, it's not every time. But I don't know. This episode, this show, this season, there's barely been any. If what? So maybe the first one.
This was the first one for Falcon and Winter Soldier, yeah.
So I mean, they're always meant to be like a surprise for people. So
Fair enough. Yeah, I like to complain. I don't know if you knew that about me.
I just I fast forward through the credits and I look and see, and then I'm like, okay, I do it every episode. I just look and see.
Yeah. Well, I have no illusion that it's not my fault that I didn't see it until later, but it's easier for me to sleep at night if I blame somebody else. But here's the thing about that. So he's crafting his own shield out of his service metals. Aren't those things made out of tin? That thing's not going to stop anything.
No. But he was he wasn't making it out of his sort of service metals. He attached his service metal to the shield. So I don't think he was making it out of that. Yeah. So, but it looks like his service metals are going to be part of the decoration on the shield, though. That's what it looks like.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense, actually.
Yeah. So yeah, I do think this looks like the beginnings of something like that. Thunderbolts, Dark Avengers, with him being on the team. That's what it looks like to me, which is a direction I'm very much in favor of. I've been wanting for them to do a Thunderbolts movie forever. Thunderbolts was an amazing team in the beginning. And honestly, when the Thunderbolts arrived in Marvel Comics, they arrived during Heroes Reborn, which is the time when the Avengers were gone. There were no Avengers. They were off in a total separate universe. It was the Rob Liefeld universe for a while. The Avengers are gone.
Yeah.
The Avengers are gone. The America has no organized group of heroes right now. Captain America's gone. You've seen Sam working for the government basically by himself. There's no team.
No.
So who's to say that the government doesn't form their own team of Avengers with U.S. agent leading it?
Even if they hadn't been, I mean, seeing the excitement for James Gunn's Suicide Squad, which is, the DC version of the Thunderbolts, basically, that's got to push them in that direction a bit.
More like Thunderbolts sort of Marvel version of Suicide.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. Yeah, I was actually going to ask that question, which one came first?
It isn't even really true. They have nothing in common, like nothing.
Bad guys being heroes. Other than that, nothing.
But that's not the Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad aren't bad guys being heroes. They're bad guys still being bad guys. They're forced to do it. The Thunderbolts were bad guys posing as good guys. Posing. Like they were total posers. They were Suicide Squad are still bad guys. They're just forced to do it. Otherwise their brains will be blown up.
Right. So they're doing heroic deeds, but not, the motivation might be a little bit different.
But I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, man.
We're only a couple days away from final episode. I can't wait.
So, without we don't need to predict too much, but Zemo's storyline seems to be done. By the way, he only wore the mask once, and for a stupid fucking reason. Thankfully, Daniel Bruhl was so good that it didn't matter. So he's on his way to the raft. He's done. John Walker and the Flag Smashers are still out there.
We got
an hour left. What do you think?
Actually think he makes it to the raft?
No, well, see, that's the other, and that's the wild card. So he could, but the Dora Milaje, they don't fuck around, man. I don't know if he can get away from them.
That's true. I find it hard to believe that they're taking him to the raft. Why would they take him there?
That struck me as weird too, but I didn't even question it. I just assumed that.
What
that
that doesn't make any sense to me. There's a part. There's just this small part of me that's like, I feel like next episode we're gonna see them transporting Zemo, and then one of the Dora Milaje is gonna suddenly turn into a scroll, kill the other Dora Milaje, and then fly him somewhere else. Like I see
you're just
something
seeing
like that.
scrolls everywhere.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the point of Secret Invasion.
No, yeah.
Secret Invasion, people pop up as scrolls when you least expect it, and it
Mm-hmm.
always happens in a place where it just seems sort of weird.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, this feels weird to me. I was like, why don't you take him there? That doesn't make any sense. So it seems like something's off.
Well, we got a scroll reveal at the in the last episode of WandaVision, so I mean it's certainly not out of the question. And I could definitely, I really actually like your idea about Sharon Carter being a scroll and getting shot and turning back, because that makes way more sense than what I said. But that one I'm all for. The I don't know. I think maybe I just respected Dora Milaje too much, because I feel like if one of them was a scroll, all three of them are scrolls, okay. But if one of them is a scroll, the other two are going to sniff that out.
Right. I mean, maybe it is all three of them that are scrolls. Who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm as curious as you are to see where this thing goes. We've been talking about Secret Invasion, so let's talk about Secret Invasion.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a reason that all these things are building up around the Skrull story, and that is Secret Invasion. Is it, now it's a movie, yeah, or is it going to be a series?
No, it's a series. It's another Disney Plus series. Samuel Jackson back as Nick Fury. Ben Mendelsohn is Talos again. Skrull that we saw in Captain Marvel.
So good.
Yeah, I know. So they're back. Kingsley Benadir from One Night in Miami playing a villain. We don't know which villain. I hope it's a Super Skrull, but whatever. They've added 2 more people to the cast in the last 2 days, and they're both incredible. Mm-hmm. So Olivia Colman, Oscar winner, the favorite, the queen. She's up for an Oscar right now for The Father. She's in the show now. And today, just like a couple hours ago, they added Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones. So, of course, we don't know who they're playing, but I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't matter when you add those people.
So what's I know Secret Invasion. I never read the storyline. So Secret Invasion, I know is we find out that Skrulls have already invaded the planet. They're holding high positions of power, and it's basically that. Remember that TV show V from the '80s? It's kind of like that.
Yeah, it is basically V. It is basically. Skrulls have invaded politics, superheroes, every aspect of society, basically. So yeah, and that's what we already know that's the case. We've already seen Skrulls, so we already know that they've already invaded. So this show is going to be about sniffing them out.
Right, but what we don't know, and the biggest question mark is, in the books, the Skrulls are bad guys. Marvel, the MCU's flipped that.
Skrulls are bad guys, but they've always been good Skrulls.
Was the Secret Invasion storyline? Because I always just assumed, I guess, that they had imitated us so they could take over. Was that not the case, or
no? I mean, the bad Skrulls who infiltrated the Skrulls who infiltrated were bad Skrulls, but there've always been good Skrulls.
Oh, okay. So Talos and them are still good guys, and they'll probably help weed out the Skrulls on the planet. Okay, I got it. I'm tracking.
Talos is gonna be working with Nick Fury. So Talos is on the good side. At least for now. We don't know how that'll end up, but for now he is. Yeah, and I assume there will be a lot of other Skrulls that will be helping out with them as well, or at least a few, I imagine. And I there's part of me that was like, okay, I want one of them, probably Emilia Clarke, to be Elijah. Elijah is a key Skrull in Marvel Universe because she was engaged to Johnny Storm of the Fantastic Four, and she's obviously good. And I'm like, maybe so it would be a cool way to kind of tease the Fantastic Four without bringing them in quite yet, is having somebody connected to them like Elijah.
I'm sorry, I'm distracted by how disturbed I am at the thought of that. Like, could you imagine being engaged to somebody, obviously sharing your bed with somebody, and then one day there's like, hey, by the way, I'm an alien. And you're just like, that's nasty.
I'd be more than happy to share with a shapeshifter who could be anybody I wanted him to be at any point at time. So
fair enough, but there's always that thing like they could sneeze or something, turn back in the middle, and then it's like lizard. Never mind. I'm gonna go somewhere
I hear you, man.
bad.
Look, I hear you, man. But I think when you think about it, and you're like, yeah, but she could turn into Lauren Vandervoort, one night,
Yeah,
and it'll be all right.
but that's why you're good with Mystique. Like even when Mystique turns back, she's still Jennifer Lawrence of Rebecca Romaine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not all the female scrolls look like hideous creatures. They look like women, except with green skin, and they have the little chin thing. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I don't know.
So when is do we have a timeline on when the Secret Invasion storyline is or
It's sometime in 2020.
season's going to come through?
I think it's sometime in 2022, but I'm not totally sure. I don't know if there's a set date for that yet. In fact, I'm pretty sure there isn't.
There's so many damn storylines going in. They're so vastly different from each other. I mean, I think that's one of the coolest things, but it's like it's one of the most anxiety-inducing things when you're trying to figure out the overarching story. Like in phases 1 through 4, the movies were all vastly different, but you could see how they were going to come together.
There's a lot going on, man, and we haven't even talked about the Shang-Chi trailer that came out.
Yeah, that's if we want to flip to that, I am so excited about this. I knew I always would be, but my concern was that they were going to go full superhero movie and forget and not be a martial arts movie. And from what we see in this trailer, they not only is it a martial arts movie, but it looks like it's borrowing from multiple different styles of martial arts movie. You got the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Wire Fu. You have the Ip Man style, close quarters, beat the ass fu.
I wish they could have got Gareth Evans to direct this, but whatever. That's just me.
He's so good. Did you ever watch Gangs of London?
No, I still haven't watched it. I need to.
So good, dude.
I know. I gotta watch it.
Yeah.
It's on my list. It's on AMC Plus though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that free? Is it not?
No, it's like $6 a month or something like that.
I don't want to get another subscription service.
Yeah, I collect those things, and then at the end of the month, Angela does our budget and yells at me.
Yeah, I don't want to get that. I don't want that. So I need to find another way to watch it. It needs to show up somewhere else on another platform so I can watch it. It's an incredible trailer, man. I mean, it's a great trailer. I mean, I said on Twitter, I was like, this is going to be better than Black Widow, and I'm excited for Black Widow, but I think Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is going to be better. Simu Liu looks like he's perfect for Shang-Chi. I love the look of Tony Leung as the Mandarin. I'm still wondering if they're going to somehow talk about Ben Kingsley posing as him in Iron Man 3. I'm just curious.
I'm going to have to address it, right? I mean, they have
to at this point, but it's been a long time. A lot of people may have even just forgotten about it.
Yeah.
I hope they do.
Yeah, Simu Liu, I mean, I'd seen pictures of him, and he kind of looked like a hero in the pictures I saw of him, but I was really digging his look in this trailer because he's got a very distinct look to him where he looks both unassuming and convincing as a superhero at the same time. Like a Ip Man. Dude, my brain is broken today. Ip Man, what's his name? He's only one of my favorite martial artists of all time. Donnie Yen. Jesus Christ. God, kids, don't get old. Don't get old.
Happen.
But yeah, he's got like a Donnie Yen quality where he's very unassuming, but also intimidating as all hell when he throws down. Looks really cool.
Yeah. I just love that Marvel is exploring yet another corner of the universe. I mean, every time they've done that, they've pretty much knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
I mean, gave us cosmic. Doctor Strange gave us mysticism. Winter Soldier gave us espionage, and now we're getting kung fu. And these are all aspects of the Marvel universe that make it so goddamn unique and dynamic. And I think it's cool, and I hope they can really explore the kung fu aspect. The kung fu aspect of it actually ties into the mysticism part really well.
Mm-hmm.
The whole chi thing is based on mysticism. It's what gives not only Shang-Chi his abilities, and it looks like he's going to have some abilities in this movie too. At least it seems they're teasing that. But it's what powers Iron Fist's abilities. And of course, if you're talking mysticism, you're talking Doctor Strange. He probably knows a thing or two about it. All these things connect. All these things connect in different ways, and that's why I'm curious to see where they go with it on the long run.
Yeah, and I really want to know what kind of impact the
And
Ten
do they
Rings are
bring
gonna.
back Finn Jones as Iron Fist? Does he show up in the final frame in the post credit scene of Shang-Chi? Does Finn Jones come walking in?
I mean, he has to, right? Yeah, I mean, you have the audiences would riot
Fight?
if he didn't. He's
Hey
the most
man,
beloved hero ever.
hey man, want to fight? To be continued. The crowd would boo if he came out. Like, it's like
No, they would just walk out.
the crowd would
Unless
boo.
unless he walked out and immediately got his ass kicked by Shang Chi,
I'll
then that
never
might be
forget
okay.
it. I'll never forget that Defenders joint, man. When they're introducing everybody from the Defenders, and he was the only person that nobody said nothing. Like everybody was like cheering for every single person introduced, and then he was the last one. And they introduced him, and everybody was like dead silence.
I feel so bad for him, man, because like even if he was shit in it and it was his fault, like that's gotta suck.
Though. The thing is, he wasn't shit.
No, I'm saying even if he was
it
shit,
was just a bad interpretation of the character. He was the wrong person to be playing that character.
Yeah, what I'm saying is even if he was shit, which he obviously wasn't, but
he was actually considerably better in season 2.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't think he's going to get credit for it, but he was actually better in season 2 of Iron Fist.
Oh yeah. Oh, let's not talk about the Netflix shows because then it's gonna make me sad again. I finally got the Punisher I wanted to see, and at least I got 2 seasons, and then they pulled the plug. I mean,
I've still never watched that show. Like, I don't think I've completed either season.
Did you not like it, or just because there's so much stuff out there, or what?
Because by the time the first season was coming around, they were already talking about getting rid of everything.
Yeah, I think that really sucked. I mean, because he's been my favorite character since before I should have been reading Punisher books, and this is how bad the Punisher's gotten screwed in the last 10 years. All these idiots who don't understand the Punisher are using his logo to mean something that it's not supposed to mean.
Oh yeah.
Then you finally get an amazing actor that can perform the part to perfection, and some stupid contract bullshit takes it out. I mean, they really need to. Where do you stand on the bringing back the Netflix heroes, Daredevil and Punisher and like the actors and everything? Where do you stand on bringing them back?
I think I would personally love to see Kristen Ritter back as Jessica Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I loved her in that. In particular, I would like to see. I'm more interested in seeing like the other characters, not necessarily like the main characters. I'd love to see like Jessica Henwick back as Colleen Wayne.
Oh yeah,
because I have a thing for Jessica Henwick. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on it, if I'm honest. Kind of torn. Part of me feels like you should probably just move on.
Yeah.
I'm okay with bringing the characters back. The characters probably need to come back at some point.
Right.
Need to bring back everybody. They weren't all great. And the thing is, the problem is if you bring back one, you should bring them all.
Well, the only one that wasn't great was Finn Jones, right? I mean,
I personally did not like Charlie Cox as Daredevil, but that's just me. He didn't work for me as Daredevil.
I never thought he was intimidating looking enough, but I thought that's kind of what they were going for with the unassuming guy.
I don't know if I needed him to be intimidating. There was just something about him that I wasn't feeling. I don't know what it was. I like Mike Coulter as Luke Cage, but I actually think you can do better. I think you can do better than him. He's still not a great actor.
Do you watch Lucifer?
No.
There's this guy. I gotta look up his name. He plays the Lucifer's brother, the Angel of Menadil, and he would be a perfect Luke Cage.
I would support like Trevante Rhodes as Luke Cage.
He's not big enough, is he?
Are you kidding? You looked at
Trevante Rhodes. Who am I thinking of?
You're thinking Trevante Rhodes from Predator and Moonlight.
Okay, apparently I have no idea how to spell Trevante. Okay, got you. Okay, yeah, that's not who I was thinking of. Yeah, I can see that for sure.
I think Trevante Rhodes could play Luke Cage.
Yeah. But I mean, you have such spectacular misses, and to be fair, none of the other Punishers that took on the role, with the exception of Dolph Lundgren, were bad. I mean, Thomas Jane was fine for his version. I thought Ray. What's that?
I love Thomas Jane as Punisher.
Yeah, I mean I didn't feel like it was it felt like a sanitized version of the Punisher, but then you had Ray Stevenson, who was amazing in Warzone, and that was a very comics accurate book. But there was something about John Barenthal where he was the only one that was able to make it feel real and grounded, like this could really happen. And this is really a guy who's got
Also,
PTSD.
he's also the best actor out of everyone who's ever played him.
Yeah, well, yeah, that
I
too
mean,
obvious.
I think more than anything, that's the key. The key. There are two different keys here.
Mhm.
One, he's a better actor than everybody who's ever played him because Punisher was always sort of treated in every movie he was in, even Punisher Warzone, it was treated as a as kind of a not quite a B movie, but not really a major film.
Yeah, no, yeah, and
And
it was never taken fully seriously.
none of them were taken very seriously. But he also, John Bernthal had an entire series to work with, not
Yeah.
just a single movie. So he had advantages that everybody else didn't. I would wager to say that a couple episodes of that show probably was more than any budget from any of those Punisher movies on the big screen. But and plus, like I said, he's just a better actor than them. So
Yeah, yeah.
but out of the four, out of all or whatever, out of them all, Thomas Jane's still my favorite.
I mean, I fully loved that movie until I saw Barenthal's Punisher. He would have been my top two. And he did. The thing I love about Thomas Jane, just to get off on a tangent, is how much of a fanboy he is, how much he loves the art. Have you ever seen the short film he did after they decided they weren't making any more Punisher films with him?
I remember.
Was it Dirty Laundry? I think was the one he did.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so good, so good. We did have some. We're coming up on close here, but I knew we had something else on the list. I don't remember what it was.
I'm sure we did. We spent a lot of time talking Marvel.
Yeah. Confirmation. He's Batman again. Michael Keaton.
He's back. He's back as Batman. Yay for the Flash.
So we just didn't have that confirmed before, right? Because I mean, this is
we heard about it like some months ago,
Mhm.
but Michael Keaton himself has been like playing coy,
Mhm.
and then we knew like a few weeks ago that he wasn't signed or anything. It wasn't official, but it was official yesterday. The official first day of shooting was yesterday on the Flash. So he has been now confirmed. He is back. So we're gonna get him. We're gonna get Ben Affleck's Batman. Yeah. So the Flash is finally happening after years of delays.
I didn't think this was ever actually going to happen. If I'm being honest.
I don't blame you. Yeah, there's a reason not to think that. I mean, there's the number of filmmakers who have signed on to it and then left, who were in talks for it and left. We kind of remember that the movie should have been out a couple of years ago, but it was delayed because Warner Brothers totally changed their plans post Justice League.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think they would have made this movie. I think if it did not have their trump card for getting out of all the storylines, if they didn't have the flashpoint that allows them to reset and change everything, I don't think there's any way they make this movie. I think it's a necessary evil for what they have to do. I'm hoping it's great. Ezra Miller's Flash, I like a lot more after seeing Zack Snyder's Justice League, but I don't think it would have happened if not for that.
He's a much better character having seen that version
Mm-hmm.
than the one we got. Too bad only one of those is canon, and it's not Zack Snyder's Justice League. So
yeah, man. I mean, the pervert Wonder Woman scene is one problem, but then one scene that I really liked in the Whedon version, and I was surprised to see changed, was the "Just Save One" speech when Flash is scared to get in there and fight with the parademons, and Batman pulls him aside and said, "Just save one person. Just save one." And that was a great scene, but then when you see the way that Snyder was going to do it, where Flash is actually presented as a heroic quantity instead of a scared kid who needs a pep talk, it was way better that way.
It's way better that way.
Yeah. So.
Totally better that way. Yeah, so I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see him back, and supposedly he's going to be sticking around after the movie too. So he'll be a part of the DCU for a while, which is interesting. So.
Are we finally getting? Do you think they'll go Batman Beyond or just Old Man Batman?
I think he'll probably just be Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, fair enough.
Honestly, I think he'll probably just be Bruce Wayne and not necessarily suit up as Batman. I think there will come a point where he may pass the torch to someone else.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely gonna be a mentor role. He's not jumping off the buildings at this point.
Yeah, I think he might just be Bruce Wayne, but we'll see.
I cannot wait until next week's show because we got Mortal Kombat to talk about.
Yeah, I know. And that was the thing we were supposed to do this today. We were supposed to talk about the video game movies that we wanted to see.
Yeah.
Video games we wanted to turn into movies. But so we're going to totally take that out of the description because we didn't talk about it at all. But we can save it for next week. We can do that for the actual Mortal Kombat episode. We can talk about the video games that we most would like to see. Well, pick 3 or 4 each, I guess.
Dig Dug obviously is my number one.
Dig Dug movie could be fucking awesome if done right. I mean, it could. Like a Master Blaster movie could be awesome if done right.
Master Blaster could be awesome. That car, shit.
Yeah, it's fucking sci-fi. So a lot of shit that could be good. That'd be good. So we'll say that for next week. We'll do video game movies for Mortal Kombat. I'm seeing it tomorrow. I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited to go back to the theater to see it too. So.
Just in case anybody's wondering, I went ahead and rewatched the 1996 Mortal Kombat, so you don't have to. It does suck just as bad as you remember. Okay, so don't bother. Don't worry about it.
Not good. It's not great. Remember the Mortal Kombat series that Machinima did?
So there was one in the 90s that was trash. But yeah, Machinima did the I remember it. It had my guy Michael Jai White in it, didn't it? Did he play Jax?
Yeah, it was fucking badass too.
They advertised a Power Rangers series done the same way, and that looked awesome. But I never saw more than the trailer for that.
Yeah, I don't know where that went, or I don't know, probably nowhere.
Matter of fact, the Machinima one you can actually get on Prime as a series. They did 2 seasons of that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind watching that again.
Yeah, I'm so I'm prepping for it. I watched HBO
That
Max
that would be a good watch party.
Yeah.
The Mortal Kombat series.
Well, I just watched on HBO Max last night. They have Mortal Kombat Legends: Scorpion's Revenge, which is like an animated take on it. Fucking gnarly. No, I'm always, as much as anime has been doing it for years. I mean, I saw this in Ninja Scroll back in 1994, but it still blows my mind when I see extreme gore and violence in a cartoon. It's just like out of left field. But yeah, so really looking forward to that. But until next week. We are the Punch Drunk Critics. Our site is www.punchdrunkcritics.com. You can go there every single day for all your news, reviews, interviews, all kinds of fun stuff. On Twitter, the site is at PDC Movies. Travis is at Punchy Critic, and I am at Punch Drunk John. If you're on Twitch, make sure to follow Travis at cinematic_enforcer. And we are still actively looking for writers, folks. So if you are interested in writing about movies, if you love movies and you want to see them before everybody else and get all those kind of cool swaggy things that we get to do behind the scenes, please send an email to info@punchdrunkcritics.com.
You'll get none of that. You'll get none of the cool stuff.
No, but we can still say that. We don't actually have to give it to them.
All cool stuff comes to me. Nobody else.
I don't even get the cool stuff. Travis Ford's the cool stuff. He's the smog of Punch Drunk Critics. But, all right, folks. Until next week, I'm John.
I'm Travis.
And we're out of here.
Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications.